Hi, and welcome to a special edition of Michigan Matters. The world of college athletics, while evolving the last few years, has officially changed, most likely forever. Gone are the days where athletes in the major sports of football and men's basketball go to a school simply because of their desire to play for that institution. Not anymore. Student athletes can be legally paid for their services, and choices are often being made now on how much they can make and where. What does that mean for the future of non-revenue sports? We'll dive into all of it today with Michigan Athletic Director Warde Manuel, who'll share his perspective on the complicated road ahead. Then the roundtable of Mike Rosenberg, Terry Foster, and Rob Murphy talk about the landscape of college sports and more. It's all sports, all the time kind of show today on Michigan Matters.
From CBS Detroit, this is Michigan Matters with Carol Kane. Michigan Matters is brought to you in part by PNC Bank.
And we're joined by someone who needs no introduction to sports fans in our area as we welcome the reigning National Football Foundation Athletic Director of the Year, at least for a few more months here, the brother of another mother here, who, for the record, is a notorious backseat driver. It is so good to see you, my friend, and glad to see you not wearing sweats. I'm glad to see you wearing other things.
Yeah, well, I had to look professional for you today.
All kidding aside,
great to be here with you.
I appreciate you doing it because I know this is the crazy. You're getting with busy season and you're traveling so much and doing so many things here. So, and I know it's been some years since you were here. You've been an AD now for how many years?
This is my 10th year.
10th year, okay. And you were with us, I think, 9 years ago. Things seemed so complicated then, but nothing like what we're facing right now. So let's just dive right in on this. Let's talk about the settlement of the House versus the NCAA lawsuit, which pays former athletes and also money going forward. And $2.8 billion is going to be awarded to student athletes dating back to 2016 through the fall of 2024. First question, why is the clock starting at 2016 on this?
Well, it's because based on the lawsuit and the timing of the lawsuit, how far you can go back with a class action settlement lawsuit and or lawsuit, and so that's why it goes back to 2016. So many of my teammates who I played with in the 80s are mad that it didn't go back to the 80s.
All the way back, yeah.
But it has a cutoff date, and I'm not a lawyer, so based on whatever legal aspects that comes in.
So most of the money is going to be going to the revenue sports, i.e. football and men's basketball as the payments going forward too. Starting this month, however, schools are required to share up to 22% of the revenue with student athletes with a 4% escalator for the next 10 years. The number that's been mentioned capping for the first year of this is $20.5 million. Now, I assume Michigan is going to share up to that cap, and I figure that most of the money, again, will go to football with some with men's basketball. Would I be correct in that?
Yeah, it's $20.5 million, and the way the settlement went, it was paid out to football and men's and women's basketball. At Michigan, we're starting out with football, men's and women's basketball, hockey, and volleyball are getting some. But the majority of it is going to go to those first three sports, similar to how the settlement went. And then we're going to, as we progress through this, we'll figure out any other mechanism or sports that are going to receive some of the money.
As AD, part of your responsibility is deciding those percentages amongst those three sports and what share, if any, other sports in your program are going to get. Talk about your philosophy of handling other women's, baseball, softball, Olympic sports, non-revenue generating. How is this going to be factored in?
Yeah, we pretty much took a look at how the settlement was going in terms of how the payouts were occurring. Obviously, at Michigan, 85% of our revenue in some way, shape, or form is tied to football. Although we're not, going to 85%. That's just when you look at donations and different things that people give to the organization. It's all driven by football, I should say.
Right.
Basketball brings in revenue because of not only ticket sales and corporate sponsorships, but also the basketball tournament. Right. Women's basketball brings in some revenue. Hockey brings in revenue, but not enough to cover themselves, but close to get there. So we took a look at those sports that were producing the revenue for the department, and that's how we targeted those sports, and volleyball is starting to drive some significant revenue.
Complicating that, on top of that, we have name, image, and likeness now, which there's collectives from, they're independent from universities helping to raise money for the student athletes. The collectives are, the collective at Michigan, which is not affiliated with the athletic department, is Champion Circle. How is this going to work together with these monies and as your role as AD?
Yeah, so it's not a part of the athletic department, but we're connected to the Champion Circle, and we're connected to our collectives to support them and to get our donors, our fans, to contribute to them because they're supporting our student athletes. Now, in this with the settlement, the way it's going to go is that even with collectives, these deals are going to go through a system called NIL Go. And this is part of the new Collegiate Sports Commission that's going to oversee both the cap management of the 20.5 and the NIL Go system. So now it's going to go to basically what is going to be seen as what is the marketplace.
Yeah.
So what is the marketplace for a student athlete to do a signing of autographs or an appearance or social media or anything as it relates to businesses, commercials, those kind of things. And that's for everybody. Any of the student
athletes, right.
In any of our sports, we have over almost 900 student athletes. Any of them can do NIL deals with companies, and we encourage our corporate partners, our fans who have businesses, to connect with our student athletes and utilize them in an NIL program.
You see, it's complicated. But we've got more to talk about here. We're going to take a quick break. We're back with Warde Manuel right after this. Welcome back to Michigan Matters. We're talking with Michigan AD Warde Manuel about the complicated business of college athletics right now with all the sea change going on here. Starting this month, schools are required to share up to 20% of the revenue with all student athletes here. As we get to the point, as this rolls out here, how are you going to figure out what is going to be needed to avoid lawsuits, in other words? Because you're going to have a disparity with the women's sports, with other sports. There's not going to be the kind of monies available to these other teams where you have these same athletes, men and women, donning the maize and blue, working just as hard, making it their lives. There's going to be lawsuits. I don't mean you personally necessarily, but all schools. I mean, this is a powder keg, and this is going to be a legal fest.
It's really complicated. In terms of how it's got to be managed from a perspective of Title IX. There's really been no clear indication from the Department of Education, from the settlement, from the court, around how that needs to be managed, Carol. And so it is really a process where many of us are following what the court has done in terms of the settlement and the distribution, because the reality is, and we've talked about it more lately than anything else, at Michigan, the sport of football funds 27 other programs. And if on the other hand, we distribute it and don't provide the majority or a good portion of the money to those who participate in football, lawsuits could be either way.
Yeah, well, this is true. So how are you going to manage this?
Well, we're managing by basically trying to make the best decision in following what the court did in the distribution. Now, how that will go long term or how it will change depending on who's in power in terms of the politics around it, I don't know. All I can do is make the decision based on the best information that I have and following really how the court decided to distribute it based on the lawsuit around revenue distribution.
As a result of all this, do you see the possibility of student athletes becoming unionized and availing themselves of collective bargaining, for example?
It could happen in the future. I know, right now the SCORE Act went through Congress basically on political lines. And one of the big pieces of that was student athletes are not employees. On the other end, if it was collective bargaining If they were employees, then we could collective bargain with them. But here's what my perspective is. I am understanding that all schools couldn't handle every student athlete being employees. Michigan would find a way to figure it out if that happened. But to stabilize college athletics, to stop the lawsuits from happening, we need one of two things, or both. We need collective bargaining and or antitrust protection. Professional leagues have both.
Yeah.
They have collective bargaining and they have certain antitrust protections given by the federal government. And so in order to stabilize, in order to stop the lawsuits that are have been ongoing for a while, and I want to say before I finish that thought, I think where we are is good. I think providing the money to the student athletes and doing revenue share is where we need to be. But we continue every step we make in terms of trying to put rules in place to govern nationally.
Yeah.
We get sued, and that's what we need to stop. We need to have the ability to have some rules to not level the playing field. The playing field is not level.
Right.
But to have some consistency across
that.
the country.
So let me ask you about something else real quickly. The transfer portals. You have athletes who used to be required to sit out a year if they transferred from school from another school. Now they can transfer, boom, like this. And was it a mistake to lift the requirement of waiting a year?
I don't think it was a mistake to lift the requirement to wait a year. I think it is a mistake. If we are really about what we are, which is education, the best thing the NCAA has ever said is 98% of our student athletes will go pro in something other than sports. So if we're about educating these young people, then we shouldn't be allowing somebody to transfer every year just to play sports. We should have some sort of mechanism to provide them with an opportunity to say, you can transfer but in the first time, and you can transfer once per year. Right now we have two portals for our fall sports. They can transfer in December, they can transfer in spring.
Yeah.
You have one time to transfer without sitting out. If you transfer again, yes, you have to sit out because you need to invest in the education. You need to stabilize yourself and commit to the education.
So we're about to have kickoff a new football season in a few weeks here. Lots of people have told me that Michigan has one of the most talented teams that they've seen in years, but it's also a very young group of players here. What's your assessment?
I love where we are. I talked to Sharon yesterday. We had the first practice. He was excited about just the energy at practice, the way everybody was geared up. He's excited about what we have the potential to be on offense compared to last year. And that goes from because of how we finished last year offensively. And he saw a lot from a lot of different young men on the field. Defensively, we brought in some excellent young men who transferred in. We've had some stability in terms of continuity in terms of those who remain. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited about this year.
As mentioned, you are a former student athlete at Michigan. You were an all-star. Bo Schembechler recruited you in. You played at Michigan. I am curious, if Bo was still here, what do you think he'd be saying about everything going on in college athletics right now?
You know, I get that question often from people, and what I said is Bo had an unbelievable ability to adapt. I mean, this is a man towards the end of his career that passed quite a bit compared to how he started in terms of his career. So I think Bo would have adapted. He probably would have, he wouldn't have been happy about it.
Yeah.
But he would have adapted
to
to this new environment.
We're out of time. I hate to say this. We won't have a chance to talk about on-the-field play and even Dusty May's contract. Is he worth it?
100%.
Okay, take your word for it.
They're all my coaches are worth it.
We'll have you back again. We'll talk more about this. Ward, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, Warde Manuel. We're back after this with the roundtable. And welcome back to Michigan Matters, where the focus is on sports, as we welcome the roundtable of longtime Detroit sports columnists, Terry Foster. In the middle is Mike Rosenberg, senior writer at Sports Illustrated. and a coach Rob Murphy, who does commentating for ESPN Plus, who's soon to be featured in a movie, which we'll talk about here. Welcome, gentlemen. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure for having me.
It's been a minute. So you guys doing okay? Anything new to report here? Besides your movie, which we're going to get to that whole Anything new?
I have a movie, so no.
Okay, no movies in the works there? Okay. Well, Michael, let me start with you. Ward just was on talking about the complex nature of what's changed here in college athletics. If big programs like Michigan and others in the now Power 4 conference are struggling with all of this, how are small schools going to be able to handle all this?
Well, I mean, I think everyone is struggling, and the reason they're struggling is what they all say is that it's a mess. It's unregulated. It's not clear where things are supposed to go, how things are supposed to go, and the reason is that no one is really in charge of the whole enterprise.
Yes.
You know, everybody is kind of like protecting their own piece of turf here. So you have athletic directors protecting their schools, conference commissioners are protecting their conferences, athletes are obviously looking out for themselves, and there just needs to be some sort of person with a kind of a 10-year vision of making this make sense. And it doesn't mean that it's bad, but right now it's chaos, and it can all be good, but it has to be organized.
And let me add this. I mean, you had on Ward, he's a smooth operator. He led you astray and bamboozled you.
How did he do this? Do tell.
You asked him, what would Bo Schembechler say about today?
It probably wouldn't be, we probably couldn't say it on air because we keep our FCC license.
Oh, no, Bo, just, he translates.
He was being politically correct.
I know, you wouldn't be able to say what Bo would say on the
We'd lose our license if he said what Bo would probably say about this.
You'd be deported.
So, Rob, I know you know a little bit, too, about some of this when we get into the NIL in particular, which you have been involved with student athletes at Eastern Michigan and such. This is actually an interesting proposition for the athletes, too, right?
Yeah, it is. And I think, Carol, the most important thing is having great representation, someone with experience that can guide you through the process.
Yeah.
A lot of times, student athletes now, college is a business, and they're looking at the money. I think it's important to still find someone who can find the right fit. If you get 3 or 4 right fits, then you negotiate the money. You have to have somebody also with the experience that can look over a contract, too, as well. It's important to protect the student athlete as well.
This is really a wild, wild west situation here, I think. Michael, when it comes to all of this, the conversation about Title IX impact on sports, women's sports, the Olympic sports, are they in trouble under this model?
Yeah, I mean, the more money that you're spending on a few individuals, the less you have for everybody else. So yeah, they are in trouble. And what's really interesting to me is all those years, all these people in college sports said, we need to protect amateurism because we are about education. We're about, teaching life skills. We're about molding young men and women, right? Well, if that's really what you wanted, why don't you focus on that right now and figure out how to protect that part of it rather than just complaining you don't have the amateurism anymore. And that's where if they start to, recognize them as employees, then within a collective bargaining agreement, you can actually negotiate some of the things that allow you to be more about education and more about stability and helping people grow.
Hey, but bro, when they said that, did you actually believe that?
No, and now I'm wondering if any of them believe it.
Okay.
So, Terry, in addition to the money mandated by the settlement here, then you've got these collectives gathering funds to pay for the NIL here, which means that donors, schools with big donors, deep pockets, are still going to have all the benefits and advantages here. Doesn't this leave the smaller schools way off to the sidelines now?
That's always been the case. The smaller schools have always been brushed to the side because of the large donors. Now, these schools now, they're asking for student fees to pay for this. They're asking for donors to pay for this. They're asking for advertising to pay for this. And the thing that I don't understand is when you didn't have a payroll, most athletic departments are losing money. Now you have a payroll, how are you going to make money?
Yeah. And Rob, you were at Eastern, the second winningest men's basketball coach in their history. When you have student athletes who now can go into this transfer portal and leave on a dime, how are they going to be able to hold on to big athletes when they're looking, saying, hey, the grass is greener, money's bigger elsewhere?
So, I would approach it if I was still the head coach, as this was almost like a junior college type of deal. You come here for 2 years, I'll get you ready to go get more money at a bigger university. That's how I would look at it to navigate through the system, because you're going to get the lower level athlete, you're going to develop them. It's always going to be people wanting to play at the higher level. So that's how I would approach it and help guys get to the next level.
And we're going to do this. We're going to take a quick break, pay a few bills. We'll be back with more Michigan Matters, the Roundtable, after this. And welcome back to Michigan Matters. We're talking with Terry Foster, Michael Rosenberg, and Rob Murphy. We're talking sports. So Terry, let's talk about those Tigers. They seem, are they World Series contender? They seem to start the season where they left off last season and things have cooled off. But to try to make the playoffs in October, can they do so with this current roster?
They are World Series contenders.
Can they do so without changing things right now?
Well, I don't think so. I think they should have gotten a little bit more involved in free agency.
Yeah.
But that's not what they do. They develop people, and then they worry about blocking players, and I don't believe in that. I believe the best people play. If you got the money, which they do, get prospects. I mean, trade your prospects and get some people in here who can play.
We'll see if they're able to do that there. All right, let's move on, because we also have here college football kicking off in a few weeks. Michael, let me start with you. We've Michigan State, so much anticipation over these college sports. Quick thoughts?
Yeah, I think one thing those two programs have in common, and I know fans don't like to think they have anything in common, but you've got these coaches that are building up, and that takes sometimes a little bit more time than fans realize. And I understand Michigan did win the national championship 2 years ago. There was going to be some rebuilding that had to take place there for Sharon Moore, and so he needs a little bit of
Who will do a better job
time.
also in between the two of rebuild?
I mean, between Michigan and Michigan State, I could not answer that question, but I think that they're very different jobs right now.
Okay. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I think they're both in great shape. You got a phenom in Bryce Underwood. You have a great defense who will be good for Michigan. I want to see how they start overall. Their schedule with going on the road to play Oklahoma early will be tough.
Yeah.
If they can overcome that, they'll be good. And then Michigan State with Aiden Childs, quarterback. He's been with Coach Smith now for 3 years. If he can hold on to the ball and not turn it over, I think they have a chance to win as well.
Michigan already made a huge mistake.
Uh-oh.
They started this little brother stuff. Every time Michigan utters little brother, Michigan State players grow to be 7 foot tall, 350 pounds, and they run 4.2 40s. That's a huge mistake.
And we have a melee on the field then.
Hey, it's good for us. It's entertaining, but I wouldn't do it.
Okay. Clarissa Shields, boxing phenom from Flint, had a big match last weekend in Detroit. She wants to fight Layla Ali, who was the GOAT from a generation ago. They want to fight her. $16 million purse. Just real quickly, yay or nay, is that fight going to happen, do you think?
Hey, I think it'll happen if they can get the purse to $20 million. I think Layla will get in the ring for that.
Okay. Let me ask you real quickly here something else. You are the star of a new movie based on your autobiography, Deep, which is coming up here. Real quickly, how can people see this? I know you've got the big premiere.
Yeah, so the premiere is coming August 20 at Royal Oak Imagine Theater, a 6 p.m. red carpet. Movie will follow. So I'm excited about that. On August 20th to be the premiere.
You have an amazing story. Growing up in Detroit, came up on challenging circumstances, went on to excel. Do you broach in the movie, you left the Pistons under unfortunate circumstances here. Is that addressed in the movie?
Yeah, well, we address it all in the movie, from my childhood to today. I think DR2 Productions and Dennis Reed, being a great executive producer, brought the vision to light and what I wanted to do. So you'll get a chance to see my entire life, my entire career, and everything is covered in the movie.
Wow.
No, Rob is so modest. He didn't tell you Denzel Washington is playing.
I wish I was that fortunate, Terry, but thanks for that plug.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And the date of that again is August?
It's August 20th, Royal Oak Imagine
there.
premiere.
Yeah,
you have to come see it.
The book was fabulous, so I know the movie's going to be good too. But thank you guys so much for being here. Really appreciate it. And thanks to you at home for joining us. Thanks to Warde Manuel for being with us earlier in the show. Sports all the time, folks. Have a great day. We'll see you next Sunday for a little bit more Michigan Matters.